Changes. I want to make a change, but what can I do? How many times have you heard that when you're behind the chair? I want to talk about this model right here, and I've got her hair hanging in her face, and let's take a peek here. There she is. She's got a one-length bob, but she sits in the chair and says, I want to make a change, but I want to keep my length. What are my options? Puts you in a bind sometimes when you're behind the chair. What are you going to do? Well, today we're going to focus on that. How can we make some simple changes but still keep the client happy? And we're going to do it with one single shear and one comb. Let's make some simple changes and make them happy and show them options. Let's begin on the side. And if you take a look at this parting I've made right here, I've gone up towards the middle of the head and I've started just on the front edge of the ear. I want to leave that front portion out for later, and instead we're going to work through the interior starting at the front of the ear and moving to the back center. We'll move to the other side and duplicate that. Here's the goal right now. We've got her dry, we've got one length, and we want to create an option here. She wants to retain her ultimate length on the bottom portion of the haircut. Therefore, we're going to start in the interior, and I'm going to take a very broad section. Essentially, it's about 2 fingers wide. You can approximate this, don't worry about it. It's dry, and I want the hair dry, and here's why. I'm going to use the fine teeth of my comb, and I'm going to comb this up, and what you're going to see me do is draw this all the way out to the ends. And what I want you to notice is this portion right here. I'm getting the shortest length from underneath. I'm using my fine teeth because I want to separate that section and make it as smooth as possible. The wide teeth can work, but you're going to bunch hair together. Instead, the fine teeth help me draw this up and through, and I'm going to use this guide right here, that shortest length as my guide. I'm going to draw this up, and then what I want to do is I'm going to come through, and you're going to see me point into this, and it looks like I'm coming in at an angle because I truly am. And what I really want you to notice is the separation I have through here, through the interior. Remember, that was my starting point, and this angle with the shear comes in, and it's like an upside down saw blade. And I want that because it creates more separation and movement. As I start to release this now, we're going to drop this down, and I'm going to continue just behind that. Remember, my sections are 2 fingers wide. I'll draw this up. And remember, your guide is always at the points of your fingers. Draw this up, and you will see it right here. Everything beyond that, you can stretch this all the way up to the top if you want, but you have control with the tension in your fingers. Therefore, I can draw this down, hold it tight, and I can remove this length by utilizing that guide at the end. There's my guide. There's the point that I matched it at. I've got a broken section here, and I can continue to move forward. I'm now on the back rear corner of her head shape. Again, my sections are 2 fingers wide. I draw this up, I look for my guide. I can cut at that angle. If I need to regroup, it's not a problem because I always have a guide at the right hand of my fingers. If you're left-handed, you do the opposite. That's okay. You can see it at the points of your fingers though, and you'd start on the other side. Take a look here. I'm going to draw this out, and you're going to see these layers start to become apparent. I'm almost to the halfway point, and then I'm going to stop and switch angles so you can see the other side. As I draw this up, remember my reference point is right here at the points of my fingers. Draw this through, and I'm done. And one side is complete. Let's switch to the other side and take a look. All right, I've switched to the left side, and remember, I'm at the front of the ear with a section vertically all the way up to the center high point of the head. I'm going to begin. My sections are 2 fingers wide. I'm going to draw this through, capture a section, and remember, I'm combing through with the fine teeth of my comb intentionally to separate the hair, and I'm looking for the shortest length from underneath. Once I can see that, I now have a reference point to come in and remove this weight. Remember, I'm creating layers here. I'm reducing that weight through the interior and retaining that length all the way through, just like she wanted. We're doing it section by section. And I'll tell you, this is a great way to make a change because you're truly capturing that change she wants by retaining length at the same time, and you can do this dry. I definitely recommend drying this out simply because then you truly see and can separate that hair and have greater control. I look at the points of my fingers. Same story here, my friends. I'm getting to the halfway point. I'm going to reposition her so you can see a little bit. Get to the halfway point, draw this up. I flip my comb around so I can separate that hair, get those fine teeth separating the hair and smoothing out my section. Sure enough, I carry that through and reduce that weight. If you want to go one over the center to make sure that you've captured everything, do so. Looks like I'm pretty consistent here, so I don't have to worry. I'm good to go. And now we've completed the interior. I'm going to draw her up and bring her up a little bit higher so you can take a look at what we've done. We've gone through the interior from in front of the ear on either side of the head all the way around the back. What we've done is drawn that up to create those layers, and here's all I want you to think about. Remember, this is the front of her head over here. We're going to do something in a moment to alter that. But instead, I need you to focus on these layers right here. And I don't really have any product in there yet, simply because I want you to see the natural fall that's occurring. We've kept all the length, and instead we've started to work on the interior. What this is going to do is really lift this up and create a lot of movement. You can increase this if you want or decrease it. In other words, I took that shortest length and used it as the guide. If you want to make this a little bit longer so the layers are drawn down, absolutely, you could angle this out even steeper and keep that. But what I really like is it's released a lot of weight through the interior, and as we style this, it'll become very apparent. So that's one quick option that we can make through the interior that makes a big change while retaining length. Let's take a look at options for the front. She's one length consistently all through the exterior, through the perimeter. Now, we've cut everything behind the front of the ear, and I've sectioned off the front area from the front of the ear forward, and I've sectioned this off with a diagonal section right through here. And what I want to take a look at is where my initial layering begins. And this is important because she may tell you she wants it at a certain height. She may show you a photo. That's fantastic. You have to work with what you're given, especially when you have a growth pattern. If she has a growth pattern that shifts over this way or to the other side, real important to take note, because that's going to start to dictate the rise of some of your shortest layers. So as an example, if she's shifting this way, I know that I'm pretty safe right here through the middle with this section. By drawing this up to a certain length, it's going to shift over. But what I also know is that weight is going to carry and really start to move during the day. So as I start to take this in, I may want to lay up a little bit, start a little bit longer and work it in so I can see how the hair responds. I always like to take a look at the jawbone and the cheekbone, making sure I understand exactly where the jawbone and cheekbone are aligning and see how that plays in with how she will sweep this over. So as I take a look at this, I'm taking this diagonal section in the front, I'm dropping this down, and I've got very loose tension with my fingers here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to angle my fingers slightly, and I'm going to take that initial cut. And here's what I want to do with the shear. I want to draw this in, separate this here and smooth this out for you. I want to begin right here. My fingers are actually aligned and angling down towards the jawbone. They're below the cheekbone right through here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to radially cut. And what I mean by that is only one blade's going to slightly close as I move down and slide through. My shark fin shears are sharp. They're awesome. They're going to help me get through the hair, but what I want to do is help prompt that through and guide it through. And you're going to see me shift down, and as I do, I'm working my way towards the perimeter here. Take a look at the angle that I've left behind here. Where does it initially fall? Well, it falls right here and angles down. I can now take that section just behind that and start to incorporate it. I want to see how it naturally falls right through here, and now I know I've got to remove some of that weight. I'm going to use the wide teeth of my comb, gather up this section, and start to bring that together. I can see the reference point right there from where I left off, and I'm going to start to radially cut. You see my thumb just slightly shifting down just to remove that corner. It's starting to remove that weight that I want, and you can start to see that initial layering. I've still got this corner coming down at the perimeter right here, and I haven't removed everything here. I got a little straggler here I don't like. Get rid of him. And now you see that graduation start to shift down. Now I can go over to the other side and show you how we're going to incorporate that. I've shifted over to the other side, and you'll notice I've left this side intentionally down so I have a reference point. My fingers were pointed up over here, And now I'm going to shift them because I have to shift them down over here. So I really need that reference point. Knowing that that shortest length, falls right in here with my comb, I need to start to match some of that as I glide down on the other side. So I'm going to draw this down. I know where the cheekbone is and the jawbone are. I've got my angle in place, and here's what I want you to think about. I'm actually reversing things on this side as I radially cut down and slide through the section here. In other words, I'm reversing the entry point of the shear on this side, which could be a little bit difficult. Now I'm trying to get out of the way so you can actually see this, but here's what I want you to notice. See my thumb slightly shift down and I'm gliding through the hair. It's not going to create a lot of pull on her at all, and instead it's going to glide through gently. I can now drop this additional section that I've separated. Remember, everything was on the front of the ear moving forward. I can incorporate that now, and if you wanted to loosely cut this with 0 elevation, absolutely. I can glide down, radially cut through this, and just come down to that perimeter point right through here. Again, I'm maintaining the semblance of a corner down through here, but I'm starting to release this weight. So as she starts to style this and open this up, she's got a shorter point that she can reference right here and glide through towards her actual end styling point. That's how I can start to eliminate this weight. If I see something I don't like, here's what I love about dry cutting, everyone. You see exactly what's happening with the hair. If I need to slightly eliminate some of this fringe right here that's fuzzy, that stuff that gets real cotton candy, I want to make a solid shape right through here, and this layering is real important to me as I shift through here. If I see it, I'm going to work with it. The things that I'm doing right now are very subtle. You see very fine hairs popping off, but they start to really define the look for her, and you start to see that layering come into play. Again, I'm really conscious of the corner right here. I actually have a corner, even though we've removed it at an angle. I've been very conscious of the fact that I want to keep something. It really solidifies the shape and gives her something to work with. All right, let's take a look at her. Okay, we did some simple styling by blowing her out, and here's what you can see. Those front layers are sweeping away from her face. It opens her up. You can see through the interior. These layers right here have really lightened things up while keeping that length on the perimeter just like she requested. It's a nice subtle change that really allows her to have a new look and feel while really keeping comfortable with the length that she walked in the door with. A great way to open things up. Let's make one more change to show her yet another option. Let's make yet another change to our model. Remember, she wanted to keep that length on the perimeter. We've brought some layers into play and we've got a sweeping layered front fringe. Now she wants to make yet another change. I want to give you that option right here. I've drawn everything down, and if you take a look at it, it's a triangle. I've drawn it in from the corner of the front hairline, from the recession areas on the front hairline all the way through to a triangle, and I've dropped this down intentionally so I could show you exactly how much weight we've got to begin with here in the front. And here's what I want to do. I want to take a look. There's a couple options here. You can make this a very strong front fringe if you want. I've seen that quite a bit lately. And here's what I want to come into play with. I want to start here with the nose right here. And what you're going to see me do is take my comb and use the wide teeth. I'm going to draw this down, and I'm actually going to slightly elevate this out so I can protect her. I'm going to show you that. I'm going to sweep my comb in from underneath. And I've actually got my comb resting right on the tip of her nose. I'm going to draw this through, and you're going to see me just angle cut some of this front fringe area. But I'm going to do that so I can break this up and have more of a broken front, but it still makes a very solid front fringe. As I draw this down, the reason I drew that down to a triangle is it retains length through the corners. So as I continue to work my way through on the left side, you'll see me draw that through, and then I'm going to reposition her so I can work on the right corner as well. I'm going to draw this through. I'm using my wide teeth just to hold the hair in place, give me some sort of tension, even though it's very light. I'm going to draw this through, and I've got this front fringe right here. Now, you may say, well, wait a minute, that's a really strong front fringe, and that's true, but I want you to think of how she may start to sweep this. And now I'm going to bring this up even further. I'm going to show you some options here. Now I'm going to pull her hair down first just to show you, because I want to give you a reference point, because all I'm showing you is a front fringe right now. She's got a great front fringe. that, quite frankly, I've seen a lot of clients start to work with and push their hair over to the side and keep this very, very heavy, depending on their growth pattern. Now, the mannequin loves to grow straight down. That's great for practice purposes. However, take a look at the weight that I'm talking about here. You know what I'm talking about. If she has a growth pattern that extends to her right side, this is going to sweep and actually be very nice as it comes across the face. Now, I've seen a lot of my clients wanting an even stronger front fringe, drawing this up even tighter. That's fantastic, but here's what I'm going to recommend you do. We're going to part this off and take a very fine front section right here. I'm just going to draw this back for the moment so you see it a little bit lighter here. I'm actually leaving the sides down intentionally. Now, I'm actually going to draw this down. Her eyebrows are right here, her eye is right here, and the tip of her nose is right here. What am I going to do? I'm actually going to come in and I'm actually going to come in and split the difference here. And what you're seeing me do is just draw this up, and I'm taking the same type of angle. Now, as we get to the side, I definitely want to pin that back, clip it back, get it out of the way as I move over to the left side, but you're going to see that same angle horizontally come through, and I'm breaking this up, you guys. Again, I want a nice, softer front fringe, even though we're creating a horizontal line through here. Now I'm going to turn her so I can see on this side. And I'm going to go ahead and clip this other side as well, get it out of the way so that we can work cleanly here. And I'm going to draw that horizontal line through, all the way through the front. Now as I do so, I'm going to use my comb just to pull that out. I had a couple pieces underneath, and that comb was a great reference point. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and drop this clip down, release that, and here's the deal. My tension is important. You're not seeing me grab this with real tight tension. Absolutely not. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm drawing that down with my comb, and I'm going to go ahead and reference the underneath. If you need to see a reference point, push that aside. I can see it right through here. I can start to match that now and draw this in. As you get to the side, sweep it away with your comb. Just get that corner, but you're not cutting into that corner. You're retaining that front corner so it's nice and strong. I need to take a look at this side over here. Therefore, I'm going to drop it. I'm going to drop this clip for a second here just so I can see exactly where I'm at. And you're going to see me incorporate that side. As I get to the actual length, that's when you see me clip it now, get it out of the way. And now I'm starting to draw this together, so I've got a really great front fringe. Now, here's why I brought this up to this height. I want to show you something in particular. I brought this up to this height intentionally. Is she going to wear it just like that where she can't see? Absolutely not. But I want you to be aware of something, especially right through this area. Either side, your growth pattern is going to start to dictate the separation and movement of that front fringe. If she says she wants a really front fringe and she shows you a photo, but she has a split right here, you may need some extra length that actually weighs this down, and in truth, it'll start to bring it up. If you've got a really great front fringe that lays just like the mannequin here and it lays straight down, good for you. However, I would rather have some of this length to work with and see how the weight shifts and dictates based on her growth pattern. If you are ready to go, you can start to draw this up even higher. If you want, I can draw my comb in, get the spine of the comb on her forehead, and start to bring this up even more. If you feel like protecting her in that fashion, if you feel comfortable with your shear, I've got great control with this shark fin in my hand. I feel confident. I can move straight across here. Remember, I'm keeping that horizontal line in place, especially as I get to this corner. Do not curve it in. You want to retain a really strong front fringe and have that horizontal line in place. I'm going to shift her so I can see this other side right here. Again, I'm going to come through and I'm point cutting through horizontally. If I need to use the comb for control, I absolutely will. Those fine teeth come into play. If I have to clip this other side so I don't remove too much excess length, go ahead and do it. Err on the side of safety and get that weight removed so you've got that horizontal line in place. As you do so, you'll start to see this pop into place. And I'll tell you, the whole goal of this front fringe and what I've seen with my clients is they want it just to cover that eyebrow and to the top of their eyes, and it allows for sweep and movement throughout the day. I'm gonna go ahead and dust her off and we'll take a look. We just finished bringing this front fringe up. It's covering just above the eye. Really like that a lot. Think about it, we worked in stages bringing that up until we were happy. We talked about the growth pattern and how that might affect the weight here in a split that you may see. So you have to use the weight to your advantage. But this horizontal line is very strong here, really works well for her. Now, here's something to consider. Since I took a triangle section on the front fringe, that meant that these areas on the side here were cut out. Remember, we had angled those out for that longer front fringe, but here's the good news. We still have these layers through the interior that we've cut, and that may be just enough to soften up and really bring this weight up through the interior. However, you may be considering, do I change the corner at all? But here's where I want to stop you. This is a vertical line, this is a vertical line, and this is a horizontal line, and it does really great work by framing the face up nicely. If you choose to come in and remove this front corner too much, you're really going to alter the shape quite a bit, and you may need that vertical appearance. So just think about that. You've already created some nice movement with the layers. You may be just fine by softening just a little bit on the corner, but don't take it all out, especially if you want to keep that horizontal feel. Another great change and option for her while she retains that length that she walked in the door with. Okay, options for change while retaining length. Very important conversation. Think about it. At the beginning, we started with this ultimate length and we have retained it, but we made changes through the interior, releasing all this weight through some layering. We walked through that in the beginning of the video, and then we walked through two different changes on the front fringe, ultimately ending up with this strong horizontal front fringe and retaining some of that layering through the interior. Two great options to work with on the front hairline. Also a great option through the interior. All of this was done with one single shear and one comb and maybe a clip. That's all you need to do this. I can tell you this right off the bat. I couldn't have done it without the right shear in my hand. I've got a shark fin 6 1/4. It fits my hand so well. I love this handle. I've got great leverage and tension whenever I use this. It fits my hand so well. Do yourself a favor and find the one that fits your hand. Shark Fin has a ton of great shears and they'll last you a lifetime. They do the job every time for me. Listen, if you like this video, hit a like. We'd love that. If you want to see more, we've got great education coming your way. Hit the bell and subscribe so you can always be on the front end of all the education we've got coming your way. Thanks for watching.